Yes, it is more BRAP. The great B Rich. He says more BRAP now. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another BRAP, the second BRAP of today. Did a BRAP podcast, did a show earlier this afternoon with Dustin Furman, who is co-host of Sacred Symbols, and great show. And if you didn't get a chance to check out that show, I would encourage you to take a listen. It was actually a really, really good discussion. We were just, it had been 3 years since we had Dustin on. And so I wanted to kind of get his thoughts on what's happened in the last 3 years. Because look, a lot has happened, right, with the gaming industry. And so I wanted to get his perspective on that, talk about that a little bit more. So definitely check out that show. I'm actually going to drop a link for that show here in the live chat, so that way, and I'll put it in the comment section here in just a bit as well. But there's a link to today's show. Definitely check it out. Great conversation with Dustin. Really appreciate the hour and a half that he gave us. And also, I'm going to drop a link for this show. And with that link, do me a favor, retweet the link. Share it on your favorite social media platform. Maybe not TikTok, which we'll talk about here in a sec. And let everyone know we're live. Before we get to the topics, we have quite a few topics to talk about. We're going to discuss Stellar Blade reviews, some new Xbox hardware. We'll talk about that. It's maybe not what many think it is, but we'll get into that. And then we'll get into some other news-related items as well. But with me, I do want to welcome, as always, Game Logic. Logic, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. It's funny. We have this running joke about it's Biden's fault. And here we are with TikTok, which we'll talk about here in just a second.
And TSMC.
Oh, I didn't read what's going on with TSMC. Is that something? Maybe I may have missed that. Is that? I feel like hasn't something been going on with TSMC for quite some time, like with trying to get more chip manufacturing here, or why? Is this something else?
Well, they've got it. I mean, they've got billions of dollars from the CHIP Act, second only to Intel.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right. So talk about that, and we're gonna talk about games that we're playing right now. And I'll admit I'm not playing a whole lot except for one game, which I think is my game of the is going to be in the conversation for game of the year. But I'll go to you, Logic. What are you playing right now?
A few things. So the thing I've spent the most time in this week so far has been doing a rerun of Borderlands 2 on PC. So I don't know exactly how that even came up in my thing. I think I was looking for kind of, I initially went out looking for, again, I've been in the search for an alternative multiplayer PvP shooter to kind of be my 2P, my standby next to Call of Duty, because every once in a while Call of Duty doesn't work, or they update something, or servers are bad, or, something has gone on. And that was the case in the 2-week run up to Season 3. And before now, I think I've mentioned, my backup had been Halo Infinite, and I just kind of gotten disenchanted with Halo Infinite multiplayer. And so I was out looking for something. I was, crawling through the lists of, best PvP multiplayer shooters in 2024 for PC or whatever. And I wound up hitting a list that was just shooters. And I wanted to scroll through that list anyway, and I saw Borderlands 2 in that list, and I was like, I kind of had been playing that with, I'd been playing that co-op with a co-creator of mine back, when I was spending a lot of time live streaming, and I said, I do want to go back and do another run of that. That's kind of been at the top of my backlog for a while, so I started doing that this week. I've posted a couple sessions of Let's Plays playing that on PC. So that, and I've been playing a little bit of Assetto Corsa Competizione on the Xbox, using my Thrustmaster TMX wheel and pedals with my H-frame mount I had been playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PlayStation 5. I was playing that at the tail end of last week, so I haven't gone into my second session of that yet this week, but that is on the list. And then, of course, Call of Duty. If slow-mo shows up, or I may just Google it while I'm here, I guess I know I saw a maintenance alert for it over the last couple of days that they were doing maintenance today while I was away from home at an offsite. But now I'm seeing, I saw a couple post headlines that talked about Season 3 Reloaded, and I'm like, crap, did Season 3 Reloaded drop already? Because I thought it was dropping like the first week of May. But it may have dropped today, so I need to go check that out.
Fallout, not Fallout, I'm sorry. Geez, what? I just forgot what game you were playing.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, you talking about?
No. You're playing Borderlands.
Borderlands 2. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was reading the chat and just drew a blank there. So Borderlands 2, that's actually my favorite of the what I would say that's the favorite of the Borderlands games that I've played. The second favorite of the Borderlands games I played would be Tales from the Borderlands, which was a who's the developer behind the
was that Telltale?
Telltale, yeah.
Yeah,
that was actually that was a really good Borderlands or Telltale game. Probably one of my favorite of the Telltale games. I mean, there's 3 games that really stand out for me from Telltale. The Wolf Among Us, the Batman games, and then the, obviously the, what was the other one?
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead, yeah. So there's 4 games, Walking Dead, and then Tales of the Borderland. Tales of the Borderland was really good. If you like Borderlands logic, if you like that particular series franchise, you might want to check out Tales of the Borderlands. It's pretty good.
Nope.
No, okay.
I like Borderlands, but Telltale games are not my style of game. I played a little bit of the first couple chapters of The Walking Dead, but yeah, it's just not my style of game.
The Walking Dead is really good. I really enjoyed that. I get it. It's definitely more narrative driven, kind of more what is it, QTE? So yeah, I can see it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, we actually, speaking of the Wolf Among Us, they did share some recent screenshots of the Wolf Among Us 2, which will be coming out. I forget when that's coming out. I have to look that up. So that's one of the sequels. That's a sequel that I'm looking forward to. But so is that it in terms of everything you're playing right now, Logic?
Yeah, man, that's it in air quotes. 4 games. Yeah,
that's it. Okay. Well, it's certainly more than I'm playing right now.
I have. Yeah. I'm not playing any. I don't have anything new in my queue this week, other than if you think of. I mean, the whole reason Final Fantasy VII Remake is in the mix is because I actually wanted to play Rebirth, but I think I mentioned to you on the phone the other day. I was sure you guys were going to clown me if I started playing Rebirth without having played Remake. So I decided I need to at least go back and play a healthy amount of Remake before I start Rebirth.
Yeah, it's probably good to play Rebirth or Remake first, and then Remake first, and then Rebirth afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, for people who are into it for the story, I'm just into it for the experience. I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan. I'm just but fine, whatever.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about the? What do you think of the combat?
It's okay. I mean, I don't mind active time battle. I mean, it's not like I don't get super excited about it, but I don't feel. But I don't see active time battle and yell and scream and outrage that it's active time battle. It's fine. It's a slightly in the middle kind of mechanic, and I don't have a huge problem with it. It's fine.
Yeah, no, as you know, I big fan of the game, so I have no complaints with the combat. But and what do you think of the characters, the story so far?
I mean, look, we all know JRPGs are not in my wheelhouse. I mean,
yes.
it's fine. I'm playing that is definitely a game that I am playing out of obligation to the art, not because it's something that I would have natively picked, of my own accord.
So you're not asking the question, who asked for this.
Well, I know who asked for it. It's a bunch of all the weirdo Final Fantasy people, just like like Bethesda games are asked for by the just like Bethesda games are asked for by the weirdo Bethesda people. But that's fine.
Not all of us are weirdo Final Fantasy fans, by the way. Oh my god!
just like the weirdo Pokemon fans and Pikmin fans, and I get it. Like there are those fandoms that are in the corner, like furries, but it's fine. Slander. I accept it.
The slander. Oh man, we're not even like 15 minutes into the show, and there's already Final Fantasy slander and Pokemon slander. I don't disagree with you with the Pokemon thing, but yeah. And for me, Logic, I'm just playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm on chapter 11 right now, and I'm loving it.
Wait, you mean you're playing Rebirth, right?
Rebirth. Did I say remake?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant Rebirth. Yeah. So, I'm enjoying it. Like I've been saying the last couple of weeks, it's, but although I acknowledge that there's probably other games I need to get to, which we'll talk about here in a second, and that I haven't got to because of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So
it's a big year of JRPGs. I mean, I would say like you're.
Oh, it's a big year. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, help me out. I mean, aren't the biggest titles in the first quarter of the year like all JRPGs?
Yeah, I mean,
Unicorn Overlord, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Like a Dragon. Yep.
I know
I would
call Like a Dragon a JRPG.
I know, but it's but it is an RPG. It's by Sega.
Yeah. It's like that's an interesting topic. It's like its own thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
that kind of subgenre of thing.
Yeah, no, but you're right. And then, we have Persona 3 Reload, which came out, which is great. I was playing that earlier in the year, shortly after it came out on Game Pass. And again, for those who subscribe to Game Pass, if you're not playing these games, please support the developers that have put the game into Game Pass. Play the game, so that you continue getting this kind of content. That's the one thing that I will give Phil and Company credit for, is that they've been able to bring more JRPGs to the Game Pass catalog.
Ayuden Chronicles.
What's that?
Ayuden Chronicles.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and that's speaking of Game Pass, Ayuden Chronicles released yesterday on Game Pass. So that is that's a JRPG, and that's actually another game, Logic, that I wanted to check out on Game Pass, and that might make its way onto my list. Yeah, the other game that's speaking of games, Tales of Kenzera. I can never pronounce it. I believe that's the correct pronunciation. Kenzera, is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's Zao Tales of Kenzera, right? Tales of Kenzera is the subtitle.
No, it says, I'm reading here. It says Tales of Kenzera Zao. Maybe it's the subtitle. I don't know.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah, that's how it shows. Yeah, on the box art it says Tales of Kenzera in small letters, and it says Zao in bigger letters.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was thinking about our conversation earlier. People being upset about Tales of Kenzera.
Yeah, supposedly because of Sweet Baby Inc.
Yeah, and forced inclusion, right?
Right.
Oh my goodness, man! Jeez. I hope these people don't work for corporations where their DEI initiatives. They'll lose their head. Their heads will explode. Whose fault it is, though. I won't say, but Let's see what else is coming to. You know what's funny? So earlier
there's somebody in the chat named Sweet Baby Inc.
No, there's not.
Yes.
Is there really?
Yes.
Leave us out of this. I'm watching. This is oh my God. That is hilarious. Somebody probably heard us talking about this, like change their profile name. Yeah. By the way, everyone, please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And I'm watching you. Hey, what's going on, Jrpg Gaming? Let's see, what other games are coming out, Logic? Actually,
Topspin 2K25 came out this week. Or it's coming out this week. It's coming out this week. Reviews are up.
Yeah, the reviews are actually pretty good. Let me pull that up real quick. Topspin. 2K5. Did you ever play Topspin on Xbox?
I think I played, again, these were back in the heyday of the Xbox 360. I want to say I was pretty sure there was a demo out on Xbox Live. So I believe I played the demo, but I don't think I had the game. But as I discovered last week, I have often bought games that I don't remember that I bought, such as Final Fantasy VII Remake, which when I went to the store to buy it, I was like, oh, I already own this.
Yeah, that's funny. And Topspin actually released on the Xbox. It was an exclusive to the original Xbox console.
Oh, the original. Okay.
Yeah, released back in 2003. It was an 89 Metacritic. And or Metacritic has an 89. There was Metacritic back then, but anyhow. But yeah, it was actually a really good tennis game. And I want to say I believe it was during the time where Microsoft had the what was it, the XSN network, was like the Xbox Sports Network. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
So like Microsoft had created, I'll never forget, Ed Freeze came out E3, they revealed the XSN Xbox Sports Network that had like almost like win-loss columns for certain sports games that were part of the XSN network. So it was it was a cool concept. It didn't really take off, but I thought it was a cool concept. But Topspin was one of those really good games. And there was the other golf game, Lynx Golf, that Xbox had released on the original Xbox console as well. That was really good. So this is Topspin 2K5. And let me see here. I gotta look up the Metacritic here. There we go. Oh, it sits at a 77 right now. But still, I mean, I always say 77 isn't a bad score, especially if you're a fan of that particular... Are you a fan of the genre that game falls in? Still a good game.
What was that? I'm sorry, are we still talking about Topspin?
Yeah, I'm talking about Topspin, yeah. 2K5, yeah, this year's Topspin.
I mean, by genre, do you mean the sports genre or
like if
specifically tennis?
Yeah, if you like tennis or if you like sports games, a 77 isn't necessarily a bad game.
No.
Because, people will see like 77s and they'll freak out and be like, oh my God,
Yeah, no, not if you're a fan of that. Like many years, COD is high 70s, but the question is always, is it a fun game for you, And if it is, then
exactly.
Should arguably go play it.
Yeah.
While we're waxing nostalgic about sports and past times, man, 989 Sports.
Ooh, yeah. NFL fever.
Yeah, back when back when EA had competition.
Mm-hmm. That's why the Madden franchise has been poo ever since 2K football left.
Hey, that must be the FTC not doing their job. not protecting competition.
Oh my God!
Oh wait, they're supposed to protect. They're only supposed to protect consumers. So since consumers have access to one choice for NFL football, that makes it okay.
My goodness, man! I just spit out my water. I was drinking water as you said that. Come on! Hey! Big shout out to Lita Khan and at the FTC though. They got to win.
Oh, what did they win?
Well, they have said no to non-competes.
Oh yeah. Very true.
And as somebody in the profession that I'm in, I hate non-competes.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be interesting to see what impact that has, because that non-compete. Like I don't think a lot of people outside of the veil really get it, but that's kind of literally drives a lot of how Silicon Valley works. Mm-hmm. because it gates, people from popping back and forth from Apple to Google to Microsoft, right? Like,
I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, just to add to that, like working in the staffing industry for so many years, I couldn't go to competitors because of non-competes. It was like how am I, like, I'm trying to earn a living here. You tell me I can't go to a competitor? Why?
Yeah. So what will corporations have to do in order to retain people who don't have to comply with a non-compete?
Give them more money.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious. Like
exactly.
I mean, like, that's one way to keep. Hey, you know what? You're gonna go because this. Like, when you leave and you go to another company, you're going. Sometimes, even if it's a lateral moves, at times you could still get more money.
Absolutely.
So if you don't want somebody to leave, and I've lived this and experienced this many times, where like, shit, this person's leaving. All right, let's we're gonna give them like an $8,000 bonus to stay with us, or we're gonna give them a 5% increase on their base comp to stay with us, or something, something to sweeten the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. That's a great point, Logic. How companies are going to react to this. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce said they're going to sue this decision, or the FTC. I don't know if they're directly going to sue the FTC, but they're going to take this to court. Like, they don't agree with this decision at all.
Well, I mean, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce was in support of the acquisition. I mean, and they have the best interests of U.S. citizens in mind.
I believe that some people thought they were a branch of the government, or
that's true. Yeah, I think they report to Congress.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that is too funny. What else? Speaking of Game Pass, we're talking about Game Pass. Definitely check out A Eiyuden Chronicle, 100 Heroes. Did I pronounce that correctly, by the way? Maybe I didn't. I don't know. So definitely check that out. By the way, they spelled it incorrectly on the Xbox Wire website. They spelled it Eyden. It's Eyouden. Yeah, there you go. I guess the intern put this together. So that's coming out on Game Pass. I would encourage people to check that out. What's that? Has that game been reviewed now, Logic? Do you know? Let me check here.
What's that? Eiyuden Chronicles?
Yes. Currently 79 Metacritic. There you go.
That's what we would call a good game.
Yeah, it's a good game. If you like Jrpgs, it's a good game. And
unless we're talking about Starfield, in which case a 79 is slander.
Exactly. Yeah, so people are upset that Stellar Blade got an 82. It's like, oh, come on. Like, seriously, you people are insufferable.
Well, it only got an 82 because of media bias.
Yeah. All right.
I think we've marked off the bingo card like 5 times over of all the gaming community tropes, like in the first 30 minutes of the show.
That's why I'm laughing. Oh, it's great. But yeah, Eiyuden Chronicle 79 Metacritic right now, based on 29 critic reviews, and is quote unquote free in Game Pass. I think that's a game worth trying out. I mean, that's why you have Game Pass, right? To try out games that you might otherwise not have tried, because you don't.
Hey, the game.
You don't have to spend money.
The game's free. So
yeah.
I mean, even if it's bad, you didn't pay for it.
Yeah. So Logic, there's one game that's coming out today. Actually came out today that I might be interested in. And it's funny because earlier today when we had Dustin on, Dustin and I were discussing sim games because he was talking about playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and Planet Coaster, and then I started talking about Sim City 2000 and Metro Simulator 2 comes out today. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, it's it basically creates Moscow Metro and authentic train controls, 24 stations, various tunnels, and items with them. The game uses modern technology to show the full experience of Russian capital subway stations on this line will reflect the changes of the era. I'm thinking, that actually, I just, after having that conversation with Dustin, I'm thinking about maybe dipping my toes back into the sim pool and trying out some simulators. So
I'll believe it when I see it.
Hey, you know what? I might pick up Flight Simulator and play it with my Xbox controller.
No, but that won't matter because it's not a game.
Well, yeah, it's not a game.
So even if you have a good time, you won't be. It's not like you'll be stacking it up and comparing it, against other actual video games.
No, I won't. I will never do that with Flight Simulator. But there's also, you know what? I have don't they have like a lawnmower simulator game? I think they do, where you cut lawns.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure they do. I mean, they have Power Wash Simulator, so it's pretty sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah, my 5-year-old was playing Power Wash Simulator. He was literally playing it for an hour, like washing the same vehicle with the power washer, and he was enjoying it. I'm like, hey, good for you. Anyhow, trying to see if there's anything else that hits Game Pass. That's all I see right now. Yeah, that's all I see with that's all I see with Game Pass for this week at least. Farm Tycoon comes out April 24th. Any interest there, Logic?
Nope.
All right. What's on the PlayStation front, Logic? I don't always keep up with releases and everything. I'm busy. Let's see here. PlayStation's having a sale right now, by the way. Let's see here. Deals on the PlayStation. I'm all about the deals, Logic. I'm sure everyone in the live chat's like, what the hell is he talking about? Survey says Power Wash Simulator is amazing. Corey Bass says, buy Tales of Kanzera, make the DI fanboys mad. Oh my goodness. Actually, I saw someone gifting that game away solely for that purpose.
Yeah, it would be funny to get all the names and Steam accounts of all the people who are hating on it for Sweet Baby Inc. and DEI, and gift them a copy.
That would be pretty funny. All right, so we got some good sales here on the PlayStation Store, up to 75%. Let's see here right now. Actually, Final Fantasy 16 is 50% off right now. It's $35 on the PS5 store. What else here? Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is actually $30. It's 40% off. Actually, I might pick that up. Did you play that, Logic?
I did. I didn't complete it, but I played a chunk of it and then put it in the backlog to get back to later.
Did you enjoy it? For the time that you played?
I did. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so.
All right. So, here's a game I know that you're looking forward to, Logic. Madden 24 is $13.99. It's $14. It's 80% off. Let's see what else here. Pacific Drive. I don't know about that game. That's on sale, though. It's only 20% off. Dead Island 2 is 50% off. It's also part of PlayStation Plus Premium, the premium tier. Are you a Dead Island 2 fan or Dead Island fan? Did you play those games?
I played a chunk of it. I'm not like a big, huge fan of the whole franchise. I didn't play, what was the goofy middle one, which was really a sequel, but they didn't call it 2. Dead Island, something or other. Yeah, it was something in the middle, but I played the first Dead Island and enjoyed that one. And Dead Island 2 was, I keep talking about that game as a game that was kind of better than it had really any right to be. And it went on to good sales and chart NPD. I mean, definitely a win for Saber Interactive. From a corner of the industry that definitely could use some good news. So performed very well last year. And it was good.
Yeah. This is wild. Dark Souls 3, according to PlayStation 5, or according to the PlayStation Store, has it retailed at $60. However, it's on sale right now for $30. I can't believe that the game's even $60 still.
Well, this is why consoles are over BRAP, and I guess
Yes.
everybody's going to be playing on PC.
Yes, it's a dying market. AAA games are sustainable as well. I just want to throw that in there. And the console market is shrinking. Mobile's the future. The deluxe edition is actually $42. Look, if you're interested in playing, if you have been toying with the idea of playing a Dark Souls game, Dark Souls 3, yeah, go for it. I have Dark Souls Remastered. I need to get back to that. Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin is actually, I may pick that up. That's actually half off. That's $20 as well. And that's probably the least favorite of the Dark Souls games. I won't bore you with Dark Souls logic, I promise.
So this is so
yeah.
Square Enix. This is like they're like the dumb cousin who like you smile and laugh at their jokes whenever they come over for family dinner, but like that they always wear the label of the dumb cousin. So Square Enix has a game out this week. Shows up tomorrow. Do you know anything about Saga Emerald Beyond?
I wasn't aware it was coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, and before anybody out there in the chat throws shade, the reason I don't know about it and I'm not tracking it is because, again, let's go back to earlier in the show. I'm not a big Jrpg fan, so these things don't pop up on my radar. Yeah, this is a game that comes out tomorrow that is reviewing at a 79 on Metacritic right now on the PS5 version, a 63 on the Nintendo Switch version.
Oof.
Probably, I would assume because of performance. Although I haven't, I haven't seen anything about like gameplay for this or anything like that. But I'm speaking on it for people who I assume consumers out there who I assume do want to be informed about JRPGs.
Speaking of other games on sale, while you look that up, Logic, Pentiment is on sale for $13.39 on the PS5s. Or I keep saying PS5 on the PlayStation Store. So if any interest in Pentiment, you can pick that up. Surprised it's on sale already. Ooh, Bloodborne, the old Hunters DLC is $10. That DLC will kick you in the walnuts. Helldiver. Oh, that's Helldivers 1. Okay, that's not. I thought that was the second one. That's on sale. Oh shoot! You know what? I think I missed out on the Call of Duty sale. Is Call of Duty no longer on sale? Remember, it was like $40.
Yeah. Yep.
Did I miss out on that? I think I did. Let me go back here and look.
So maybe somebody in chat who knows the franchise better than I do. It looks to me like it's a gameplay style and combat style that's almost a little like Persona or Persona 3 at least. But just with a different graphical style, but still that kind of layout and storytelling.
Damn it! I missed out on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 sale, man.
Ah, man.
Ah, man. Seriously.
Well, hey, BRAP, support the devs.
Yeah, I think Activision gets enough support as it is. I'm good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What's the game that we're talking about again? The Square Enix game?
Saga Emerald Beyond.
I feel like Slow-Mo was playing this on PC because it does have.
Oh man, you got Hip Hop Gamer in the chat.
Oh really? I don't see Hip Hop Gamer. Where is he?
He's right below Capoto. Capoto made 2 comments.
Oh, there he is. Hip Hop Gamer, HHG. Good friend of the show. How are you, Hip Hop Gamer? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support as always. And look, I keep telling people, if you're not following Hip Hop Gamer on Twitter, you need to follow him. He is always breaking things prior to the media reporting them. He's shared things with me before that came to fruition. I'm like, so, yeah. No, thank you for stopping by, Hip Hop Gamer. I appreciate it. We'll have to get you back on the show sometime soon as well. Also, love his positivity as well. I just want to throw it out there. If you ever watch his content, he's so enthusiastic, loves video games, does a lot of work in the community. So,
Manor Lords is also out this week.
yeah, I did see that. Yeah. Saga Emerald Beyond? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't the game that Slimmo was playing then. This is, let me see this real quick. Yeah, I don't get a Persona vibe at all from this. Did you say Persona?
Yeah, when I was looking at the combat.
Oh, the combat. Okay, I thought you meant like the visual set. Okay, I get you.
No.
Yeah, it's there's a demo right now. I might give the demo a run, but it doesn't look like it might be something that I'm interested in. We'll see. Shocker, I'm not gonna say that. Never mind.
Yeah, and then early next week, Sea of Thieves drops on PlayStation 5. I guess it'll be out of whatever demo or beta or early access or whatever the heck it is in on PlayStation right now.
Yep. What's going on, Ham Solo? Sea of Thieves comes out. It was one of the top pre-order games on the PlayStation Store. I could never get into Sea of Thieves. I tried playing it, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's just it's a game that for me it has that Overwatch effect to it. Meaning, I don't mean that it's like Overwatch. I mean it's one of those games that it's only fun like if I'm playing with good friends, like not just like casual friends, or like good friends. The people who I seem to see get the most out of it are people who like it's almost like they play it kind of like WoW, like they're part of a regular group and that group plays all the time, and it's just a little, for me, that's too much investment on one thing that is not in my wheelhouse. Whereas I can play Call of Duty and I can play by myself or I can play with friends, and that hits my needs and wants out of it. But it's a great success story. It's a game that came out. Didn't really click on all cylinders, and didn't really hit with everyone. And they just kept plugging away at it and eventually kind of turned it around. And, it's kind of what I mean. I wish people get angry, when we talk about Halo Infinite and we say Halo Infinite's a great game. It's got great combat. It's got this, it's got that. Maybe you can make an argument that because it doesn't have weapons progression, it's missing, a key element of kind of the PvP shooter thing that attracts people today. But the big problem with Halo Infinite and why it is not the flagship that Xbox needed it to be is that it never made the successful transition to an effective game as a service strategy. In terms of kind of what I want a gas that I'm going to invest a lot of time in to be. And I wish people would not focus on railing against that because they have to defend the Xbox brand, but would just look at one of their own games, right? Sea of Thieves successfully made the transition to a game as a service that became engaging and retained its player base and kept giving them more and better and reasons to stick around and play the game and reasons to invest their time, however niche it is, right? That's what I'm talking about when I say Halo Infinite never turned that corner. Whether or not it's who cares who's to blame, right? Or whether or not the perception, I constantly go back to PI, perception, image, and exposure. Taking a quote from A Few Good Men, it doesn't matter what you believe, it matters what you can prove. Right. And it doesn't matter if you think or an Xbox fan thinks that Halo Infinite is the GOAT. What matters is what its overall perception is on the market and therefore how the market responds. So, that's Sea of Thieves is a great success story. It's right up there with, Rainbow Six Siege and other, games as a service that have, launched to, ill reception and then turned it around because the dev team stuck with it. And because the backing corporation allowed them to do so and didn't pull them off to go work on other projects.
Yeah. Corey Massey, Sea of Thieves actually reported recently, not Sea of Thieves, but Microsoft Rare reported recently that Sea of Thieves had hit the 40 million player count. I don't think that's 40, active users, but maybe 40 million players that have played it. But I don't think comparing it to Destiny lessens what Logic is saying. You can look at you can look at how that game's launched, right? And look at it where it's today. And you're right, Logic. Like they were able to, and look, that's not easy. We talk about sustainability in the gaming industry. We talk about how difficult it is to make and create video games, much less like live service games, to be able to stick around for, 7 years or so. I think, is Sea of Thieves 7 years old? I think it is. To be able to stick around in a crowded space where gamers are consistently being bombarded by the latest and greatest, or to be in that space that you're competing with the likes of a Destiny, a Fortnite, and all these other games that are... Yeah, go ahead.
Competing on the attention-based economy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's not easy to do. And they've stuck around. Like, even if the game isn't free, I think you kind of have to acknowledge that. Like, look, the game, Sea of Thieves is not my cup of tea. I said that earlier. But I acknowledge the pivot and the longevity, the legs. We talk about the success of live service games. We talk about on this show, Logic. We talked about Power World early in the year. Like, let's see how long that game is going to last. Like, how, what are the legs of that game going to be? Is it going to be something that sticks around for quite a bit, or is it going to be a flash in the pan type situation? So, I mean, like, I give rare props for that, for what they did with Sea of Thieves. Again, not my thing, but look, it's coming to PlayStation now, and you got to imagine that they're definitely going to pick up more people. And it's probably going to extend the shelf life of that game.
Yeah, you'd love to see it.
Yeah, so... But see, that goes back to Logic, like people not being able to separate something they don't like with how that game's performed in the market.
Yeah, which is okay if you're going to have that half of the conversation. When you try and step across the aisle to have the other half of the conversation, then that kind of, I don't know, I feel like that makes you look a certain kind of way, because you're speaking on emotions and feelings, and then trying to step into the industry and into the industry analysis discussion. And I'm like, and not apply logic and rationale and quantification to it. It's just kind of a weird way to be to me, but whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to pick on Corey Massey here for just a second, Logic. Like, what does Destiny have to do with Sea of Thieves? Absolutely nothing. Like, those are two separate conversations. And I think what happens a lot when we have these conversations, people do kind of what Corey's doing. They'll just obfuscate, the conversation, like what we're discussing, the conversation point.
Yeah, I don't even know. What is Corey Massey saying?
He says, don't get me wrong, Sea of Thieves is a great turnaround story, but Destiny was a cultural phenomenon for a hot minute. There are indeed levels to this. And earlier you said Destiny had tens of millions of players. At what point does Sea of Thieves have tens of millions of players? Like, I just don't. That's not really relative to the conversation we're having.
I don't know. Does Destiny 2 have the same number of players as Call of Duty?
No, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, we could play that game too. I see what you're saying. Like, you can obfuscate that and be like, well, wait,
I mean, but I tell you what, if what they're asking, if there's an audience demand for us to have a game as a service ranking episode, then okay, fine, we can do that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. All right, I forgot what we're talking about. So Sea of Thieves coming out as well on PlayStation.
I think that's it for April.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, Stellar Blade comes out on Friday.
Yeah, but I thought you had mentioned that one already.
Yeah, Stellar Yams, as they call it.
I don't see. Oh, of course, May. My personal goat, Homeworld 3, is coming out.
Okay.
My man Ramon did voiceover work on Homeworld.
He did. That's
so
right.
This is going to be awesome. Next month. I am going to be able to buy a game from one of my favorite franchises ever. Again, this is super me personal. I get that the rest of the market isn't interested. But someone who's a mutual of mine actually stars in the game.
Really?
So it's pretty neat. Well, Ramon.
Oh, yeah, you already mentioned that. I thought you mentioned someone else. There was someone else.
No. Yeah. I mean, I've been a huge Homeworld fan since the very beginning. It was when I talk about how there was just like this period of time like I didn't get RTSs or why like everybody loved them or like why they were such a big hype. But Homeworld, because I'm a huge sci-fi fan and a huge fan of Starship Combat, like Homeworld was one of those games that I was like, oh, now I get it. Ghost of Tsushima.
You got the RTS buzz.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is out next month, mid-month. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2 is out next month. And I think, for me personally, that's it. I think the Multiverses comes back. And I think that will be a thing for some other people, not for me. But,
Maze Stacks.
For a game that was a game as a service and like super popular just in terms of the IP that backed it. And then for it to kind of have walked off the stage and gone cold, dark, and quiet, which I just think is what you need to do. Like have we not learned the lesson of No Man's Sky? Like it is proven. Like if you got to go do something, just go do it. Like pack up your stuff, go home. Stop talking to people. Stop talking to consumers on Twitter. Like it doesn't buy you anything. It doesn't do you any good. You know, just go do the work.
Look, I know people are like, BRAP just hates on Xbox. It's like, no, I mean, like, Phil, just stop talking. Go do the work. Put your head down. Do the work. Deliver.
Yeah. I think didn't a few months ago we talk about draw comparisons to Intel as well? Because the Intel guys had come out and they had said very similar. They had done an interview on PC World, right? Gordon Maung, Will Smith, and they had done an interview, and their director of that business line said,
"Are you talking about the GPU business line?"
Yeah.
Said
kind of the same thing. Said, look, we could be out here every day, every week, telling you, why you should think we're great, but we just said we're going to shut up. We're going to go do the work. We're going to put the parts out. We're going to let them get benchmarked, and then we'll be around to have the discussion, and we'll talk to you about what we think our value proposition is. But we're not going to come out here with some big PR marketing campaign. Like we're going to be until we have done the work and established the pedigree that justifies and warrants it, Yeah,
that was a great interview, by the way. That was actually a really good interview. But you're right. I mean, he said, like, we're just going to keep our heads down. And they talked about, like, we're going to deliver. We're going to execute. So, I mean, it's, again, I know people will be like, I just bash Xbox. No, it's just, if you don't believe me, I mean, I always go back to the results. And those tangible results, those are real. You can't make that up. You just look at, like you just said, like, if you look at the market and how they're performing, there's a reason for that. There's a reason.
I mean, I gotta do a GPU upgrade coming up here soon. At least it's on the board, and I gotta I'm looking replacing a 3070 Ti, and I'm like, do I need to take a look at Intel Arc processors? Probably not going to go down that path, but they were at least in the conversation.
Yeah, they wouldn't be in the conversation for me, but I gotta buy what's his face another leather jacket. So. Let me grab this super chat here. Yobo1245 with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that super chat. Says, if you need an amazing controller with mechanical buttons and Hall effect sticks, I highly recommend the FlyDigi Vader 3 Pro. Bought mine on AliEx for $45. Thank you for that. If I get really serious in a flight simulator, maybe it's something I'll check out. Do you know the controller that he's referring to, Logic? Is that something you've...
I do not know.
Okay. All right, just wondering. Component 5150, the live chat's interesting. He's saying we're hearing that 5090 might be around 70% faster than a 4090. My understanding, though, is that x86 ARC CPUs are actually smaller than slower, less powerful than ARM CPUs, Logic. That's what I was told today.
Yes, and yes, from the same hall of thought that used to have Mac people running around saying Macs are faster than Windows PCs back where they were on Power VR processors.
Yeah. Also, all American companies, their CEOs tend to talk a lot.
Yeah, it was super interesting. Yeah, I heard Moore's Law is dead, talking about the 5000 series GPUs. I know there are a lot of people who, like to run around and discredit Moore's Law on the basis of, them being wrong on predictions. But like I said, I don't listen to them for predictions. I listen to them for their analysis and breakdown of things that we actually know. And I leave the prediction parts out of it. That's just me. But they were mentioning today, why might Nvidia be putting out the 5000 series GPUs this year? And it's notionally because they share architecture and some componentry with things that they are doing with AI chips, and those AI chips are going to debut this year because that's what Nvidia cares about, and that's what makes that car go. And they're not going to miss investor dollars by delaying it. And since those GPUs are going to be based on a lot of those chips, they're planning on announcing at least the 5080 and the 5090 alongside them, because once the cat's out of the bag with the architecture that's on the AI chips, there's no point in not putting the 5080s or 5090s out there as well. Although what they talked about is they expect them to be in like seriously short supply, which is what I always plan for anyway. It's like the GPUs debut, but they're not in ample supply and easily readily available on the market, for 3 months at least, if not up to 6.
Yeah, and then I'll have to wait to get a 5070.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wanted to, if you don't mind, I wanted to mention about the TSMC labor practices, since we're kind of on this topic of other adjacent businesses and industries. The story over on Tom's Hardware. TSMC's labor practices draw serious concern in Arizona, the company's new chip plant allegedly plagued by worker abuses. TSMC's new expansion in Arizona has received serious scrutiny from engineers and industry insiders for its myriad examples of poor treatment of workers, says reporting from Rest of World. The report claims the company's culture of chronic overwork, cruel managerial style, and poor treatment of its engineers in its Taiwanese plants has ported over poorly to an American labor force who are now leaving its new plant over perceived abuses. I won't go into all the details of this, but the reason as I read through the story, the things that jumped out at me were a couple things that are analogous or adjacent or somehow tethered to things that we've mentioned on this show. Number one, we've talked about the differences in cultures, right? Between Asia and the West. And a lot of things in this article are about how, right, the Taiwanese are going to American engineers and saying, hey, it's a 12-hour workday, right? Yeah. And they're getting a lot of belly aching from the Americans. And they're like, for somebody in Asia, that's like a shoulder shrug.
Hey,
it's like whatever.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I need to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep going with this. Yep. So Josh Ayers mentions, who's TSMC? So TSMC is the largest foundry in the world. In a world where we have just exited out of a chip shortage crisis, where literally things were happening like new cars weren't available on the lot in good supply because the auto industry is now highly dependent upon integrated circuits and CPUs. And so the CHIP Act, which is the Biden administration's means to infuse, I can't remember what the numbers are now because it's been a while since I reported on it, but that CHIP Act is, I think, like $80 billion or some number of billion of dollars that is being seeded out to different chip fabrication plants to up the total volume of CPUs that there are made available specifically to support U.S. technologies. So, like a lot of people may not know, for instance, to me, this is kind of the digital age realization of this. In the United States, since post-World War II, we have had, as part of our budget and part of our American national security strategy, a specific intent to support a certain number of shipyards in the country. And that is so in a time of war, we maintain the industrial infrastructure and capacity to rapidly produce naval warships should the need ever arise. Today, what that means is we support a lot of shipyards in the country that arguably aren't needed. But we support them, again, so we can rapidly convert them in needs of crisis. What you're kind of seeing now in the CHIP Act is us basically coming to the realization that we equate the manufacturing capacity for chips with what we used to think of as warships, right? It is an essential component of our national security. And so this bill has been made, and a lot of this money has been doled out to Intel, and to Global Foundry. TSMC and Samsung are actually the number 2 winners. Next to no one more other than Intel has received more of that money. I think Intel has received like 11 billion. I think TSMC and Samsung have received like 8 billion ish. So TSMC is the world's leading chip manufacturer now. Intel depends on them to deliver chips. Apple depends on them to deliver chips. And there's all types of mixes and matches of different, like typically, Tim Cook gets a lot of praise for being a supply chain guy, and his approach to things would be, say, to depend on TSMC, but then to also, sprinkle some of their supply chain sourcing with, say, Samsung. But TSMC is like the big fabricator for, the core, the big Apple chips. And so this is about them opening up their plant in Arizona, which, if you remember the discussions during the Trump administration, Tim Cook expressed to Donald Trump, and it's very true, that a reason he could not transition all of his manufacturing to the United States, or a big chunk of his manufacturing to the United States, is like, look, we don't graduate enough American engineering students that are needed on the manufacturing floor to supervise the work for making the iPhone. And so what TSMC has done in order to facilitate this initiative to get this plant, because there were plans to get this plant in the United States for a while, they actually took American engineers, sent them over to Taiwan to train them at the TSMC plant, and now they have sent them back to actually man and staff the plant that they've built in Arizona. And so, like I said, a couple thematic themes kind of jumped out from this is one, kind of what we've been talking about how there are these differences in culture. That, number one, we've talked about that divergence in terms of the type of content that we think you need to make to put in front of somebody in Asia, because somebody in Asia doesn't necessarily want to play Call of Duty or Fortnite or some of the games that are big Western franchises. This also speaks to the divergence in industrial culture when we talk about, Xbox, a decidedly Western and American company, competing with Asian companies who have largely dictated kind of the framework of the gaming industry for the last 50 years, right? Once you get past Atari kind of falling from grace, the bulk of the history of the gaming industry has been dictated by companies out of Japan, really, right? PlayStation, Nintendo, and Sega. So I also just thought it was interesting that, again, this manufacturing of chips becomes something that, the entirety of, what goes on in the gaming industry and productization and that's going to come out of pipelines is going to become dependent upon. And this just highlights some of the things that are associated with that. And it also speaks to, the differences between, a lot of the things that I've kind of not railed against, but spoken about is, when we get these opinions about unionization, for instance, in the tech industry, and kind of how we think people want it to be. Those are largely questions. Those are largely perspectives that we're hearing from Americans and Westerners and Western content creators who don't have a global view. We talked on this show. I can't remember. Did we talk on the show about the unionization for Avalanche over in Sweden? And we talked about how unionization in the... Yeah. Okay, that may have been on E2KG, but I talked a lot about how unionization in the Nordic countries is a norm. Yeah. And so there's a difference in kind of how it's perceived there. But I also said Avalanche is not a solely Nordic developer. They have the bulk of their workforce actually is in New York. Can't remember where the other places, but they have like 3 Western studios. And so this unionization of employees for a company that's about 400 plus people, 500 plus people, right, is really only about 100. And so again, before people would take off with that about, oh my God, it's happening, Avalanche is unionizing. I'm like, guys, it's 100 people and it doesn't affect the other 400 plus employees, right? So I just thought it was an interesting article to me, because I keep up with the tech industry and specifically, chip manufacturing as one facet of the tech industry, but also because I felt like the article really highlighted a lot of the cultural differences that we've kind of been talking about.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Logic, I do want to pivot here to, I know we as we talk about, different countries, technology. So today, U.S. President Joe Biden signed into law a package of national security measures, which includes legislation that ByteDance, who owns TikTok, must sell or see the app banned in the U.S. And this is part of Protecting the Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. It gives ByteDance 270 days to sell the app, the possible 90-day extension at the president's discretion. Now, ByteDance is saying that this is unconstitutional law. It's a violation of. One sec here. It's a violation of free speech, and they're going to fight this. They're going to take this to court. They're going to challenge it in court. They say they believe the facts and law are clearly on their side, and they'll ultimately prevail. And they said that they've invested billions of dollars to keep U.S. data safe. I know that they created data centers, I believe, in Texas to help address some of the issues of the U.S. But this has been, I think, one of the few instances, Logic, where there's been a lot of bipartisan support for this potential banning of TikTok from the U.S. And
Adam, I'm sorry, you said the bill just made it through the Senate and Biden signed it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. With no changes from the bill that was introduced and signed off in the House?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if there was any changes. I'd have to look that up. I just know that the Congress had passed it. It was sent to his desk, I believe, earlier in the week, and it was just signed today.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So, and I know that, and I follow the story a little bit. I know TikTok had tried to address some of the concerns to keep U.S. data safe, that they had created a data center in Texas. But there's concerns. I mean, the FBI, I believe it was the FBI director, testified to Congress about the possibility of China having access to U.S. Or having access to the data of U.S. citizens, and then the fear of being able to manipulate U.S. citizens with propaganda, which is kind of interesting, Logic, because the propaganda piece is something that's happening internally here, or it's happening domestically. And we see that on Facebook. We really saw that during the election of 2016 and even 2020. And, I know, we see it on Twitter. I see it on Twitter now. We see it all over social media. And so I thought that perspective is kind of interesting. But according to some senators who sit on the Intelligence Committee, they're saying that they, behind closed doors, they've seen some information to suggest that China is using this data for bad things that would benefit them. So it's going to be interesting to see.
You know where you don't see it?
No.
WhatsApp.
Oh, is WhatsApp? Are you talking about what is WhatsApp? WhatsApp isn't that the map the map app?
No, that's Waze.
No, that's I'm sorry. WhatsApp is
it's a group
the
chat.
Group chat. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I got it confused with the what's it called? What's the other map that Google bought?
Waze.
Thank you, because they both start with the letter W.
Yeah, so it's the messaging app that Facebook bought.
Yeah, you could use to call people overseas and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't hear about it, but in a lot of countries, it's like WhatsApp has become like the de facto like manner of talking to people. Like it's like businesses run like their advertising campaigns across WhatsApp.
Oh, in South America, all my
Brazil,
family members use it. Yeah, they all use it.
So the thing I was going to mention is you know where you don't see it is WhatsApp, but where a lot of it exists is on WhatsApp.
Hold on, slow mo.
What?
The name. Come on, man. Oh man. I want to welcome
is there a problem? I don't understand.
Oh man. I do want to give this gentleman a proper welcome back to BRAP. Slow-mo, it's been like 8 months since you've been on BRAP.
Oh, stop. It ain't been that long.
I was on the phone with my local grocery store, and I have a picture of you, and I said, hey, can we put this on a milk carton?
Okay, my bad. my Wednesdays are very busy because
No,
my
it's
wife
all-
works on Wednesdays.
It's
now.
all good, man.
So
it's all
like,
good.
I am dead
No.
tired, but I said, you know what? It's been a minute. I'm gonna show
No,
up.
I-
You know,
hey, no, I appreciate
the
that.
head crimer in charge has to show.
Oh,
You
man.
know,
I can't
make
believe
sure
you-
that everybody is on their P's and Q's. You know,
You were going to catch heat for this, like heel heat, like WWE
That's
heel
fine.
heat.
that's fine. I don't care.
Oh my goodness.
No. I can't talk on. Okay,
Well, I'm glad
talk
you're here.
in
I was going to ask
general-
you. Yeah, go ahead.
I can talk in general about some of these things. So there's a reason why. There's a reason why they don't have a problem with WhatsApp. Facebook owns WhatsApp, right?
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
U.S. company. Yes.
U.S. company. That's why they don't have a problem with WhatsApp.
Oh no. Yeah. I would say I understand why they don't have. What I'm saying is that the.
Oh, I know you know. I'm just for the audience that's listening, so they understand that. Like, why are they trying to take away my TikTok? It's because it's the way the world works when it comes to these things is that the same things that they accuse everyone else of doing, they are also doing, and they know they are. I mean, look, if you work in IT and you work and you are in any ways responsible for network security, you know how to defend, put up firewalls, you know how to check logs. You see where, certain places are trying to brute force into your networks from. You check, you do IP lookups, you see where those the locations of these IP addresses are from. It's pretty blatant out there. And when they can't get your data that way, they'll find other ways to get your data. And they're not the only ones. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's guilty. But the reason why you're getting bipartisan support for this is because they all know what's happening. And they all know that if you have the app installed on your phone, your data is going to other people that they don't want it to go to. And they don't want them to potentially be influencing how you view things that are going on in the world.
Or here
because they
domestically.
want to
yeah.
be the only people that do that. It's not because they're trying to protect you poor innocent, summer child. No, it's because they want to be the ones that are influencing you and nobody else. So, I mean, that's just how it is. And so what they want is, from what I heard, like the end game here is sell TikTok to a company that we're cool with owning it. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to change anything.
Phil Spencer should throw his name in the hat here to buy it.
Oh man! Hey, look, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to change anything. Look, if Microsoft bought TikTok after what happened with Skype, where Skype became less secure after Microsoft owned it, where I mean, there's so many easily found issues and holes in Skype security that, like, you gotta be out of your mind to conduct any business with someone and over Skype for anything and expect it not to get that data packaged and uploaded to a different location. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but
yeah,
I feel bad for the people who have created careers off of TikTok, as influencers and content creators. They got their music on there. They do videos and stuff to make a lot of money off of it. I don't feel bad for the scammers, screw them. But everyone else that makes money off of it, they're wondering, oh man, like, what's going to happen? Yeah, this is why you always should have a contingency. Don't put all your eggs in one basket,
Yeah, the thing I wanted to point out about WhatsApp is Meta, YouTube, TikTok. So a lot of your big like social media channels have made pledges to protect the integrity of elections and talked about the measures and what they're going to take. Facebook is playing a really interesting game in that it has said what it's going to do to maintain the integrity of elections, and they've implemented some measures about like how news is like tagged and labeled on Facebook if it gets forwarded like and repeated like multiple times. But they haven't talked about anything that they're doing with Instagram, Threads, and in particular WhatsApp. And WhatsApp was actually used in India to coordinate the actual murder of like 5 people. So there were 5 transient workers in a town where a rumor started being circulated on WhatsApp. It's very similar to what was the thing that happened in New York or whatever with like the pizza place or whatever. Like people were claiming that like the pizza place was like nobody. You guys know what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about? Pizza place? Are you talking about the conspiracy theory about pizza place in Washington D.C.?
Yeah,
where Hillary Clinton.
Maybe that's what.
Yeah, it's Comet Ping Pong, which is off of Connecticut Avenue, D.C., which actually I've been there. Has good pizza, nice cold beer. But yeah, there was a conspiracy theory that running on maybe it was Facebook that there was some kind of cabal and they were like, like taking children there, and it was Hillary Clinton was the head of it. Yeah,
yes.
It was some crazy shit. The guy I think showed up there or talked about showing up there with a gun.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a very similar incident in India where a rumor started circulating on WhatsApp that these 5 transient workers in this village were actually kidnapping children, and then they actually started circulating videos that were spoofed or like mislabeled or whatever. But these 5.
I remember about that. Like the video that was circulating was actually a video that was like from a different country and it was like super old or something.
Yeah. So the village council called these 5 transient workers in. And somebody then got them this video, and between what was going on WhatsApp and them being showed this video on WhatsApp, the village council came to the conclusion that these workers were actually kidnapping children and committing atrocities and actually beat them to death. Like to the extent that there were like blood and guts right inside the village council office. So this is one of the things that they're talking about. I mean, while we're just on the subject of TikTok, I just wanted to point out, so Mozilla has actually called out Facebook and pulled together a bunch of data and actually cited a bunch of incidences where, WhatsApp has been guilty of circulating misinformation as well, and Facebook has made no proclamations to what measures they're taking with WhatsApp to protect the integrity of the election on the approach to the end of 2024.
Well, that was my point. Logic saying like it's kind of interesting how they're worried about a company like TikTok and the Chinese influencing, like U.S. citizens here, when that's happening by foreign adversaries using things like Facebook. I mean, we know this because of what came out about the 2016 election, and we still see the misinformation campaigns. You see, I mean, this is why I say this, and I say this to you a lot, Logic. This is why we're effed, because everyone communicates on social media. No one speaks in coherent, complete sentences anymore. People just speak with one-liners. Like in the future, 40 years from now, like if we were youngsters growing up now, in 50 years from now, we'd have this podcast. I'd be having a conversation with Slomo that would go along the lines of something like this: "Bruh, that's cap. Trash. Cap." And that would be the conversation. I mean, that's seriously, that's where we're heading. Like we are effed. If you haven't watched the movie Idiocracy, you need to watch it. When I first saw that movie, I'm like, haha, this is funny. No, it's actually happening. It's crazy.
And Josh Ayers asked in the chat, Firefox was, so yes, Josh Ayers, the relationship is Mozilla is a nonprofit organization, a technology foundation. The Firefox is an open source project that the Mozilla Foundation oversees. So Firefox is a project. Mozilla is the organization that sponsors the project.
Yeah,
but yes, they are the foundations that were responsible for initiating and spinning up the creation of the Firefox browser.
Mr. Nice says, you sound like a boomer, but you're right. Look, I am right. I'm telling you, like, this is, you see how the dialogue goes on Twitter. It's just those one-liners. Like no one's having coherent conversations anymore. It's crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see how this...
my day, we spoke in complete sentences.
I know, right? Yeah. We didn't have mumble rap. No, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, how this fares in how this plays out in court. So we'll see. Do want to move on to hold on just a second. Let me pull this topic up real quick. I need to pull this up. All right. So we got news this week that an Xbox... I can't even talk. I said Xbox. That an Xbox VR headset is on the way. Now, this is actually a limited edition MetaQuest headset. That's going to be an Xbox headset. So Microsoft, remember, Phil a couple years ago mentioned that we'd get some kind of VR Xbox headset. That didn't happen, but now we're getting a limited edition MetaQuest VR headset inspired by the Xbox. We don't have any additional details right now. But
so this will actually work on like an Xbox Series X, like it would use the Xbox Series X to help power it, or is it?
No, I think it's just it. As far as I understand it, it literally just has like the marking and branding of Xbox. So I guess it's a neat Xbox thing you could hook up to your PC. I guess.
Interesting. So
it's just a skin.
Haven't they already had? Hadn't Oculus Quest 3 already had, or Quest 2 already had access to Game Pass?
I thought
that was something that was created already. I'm just wondering what, outside of them just like slapping an X on this and painting it green, what is the difference?
It's just like the Xbox. It's just like the Xbox refrigerator, Slow-mo.
Okay.
Well, actually, the difference is that this comes bundled with an Xbox controller.
Are you kidding?
No, actually, guys, I'm not even making that
changes everything now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no. That's a value prop, right? You buy the headset, you have the controller to play games with.
It actually
on the headset.
According to Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, he says
how many of us already have X? Is this a special Xbox controller that only works? No. Like, is it? Can any Xbox controller work with the Oculus?
Yes. So this comes out of the box.
So there's like I'm looking at like 5 Xbox controllers right now. So it's just I guess I don't need that either, huh?
So Slow-mo, wait, it comes out of the box with Xbox controller and Game Pass, so you can immediately just start playing on a big screen anywhere you go. That's from CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got. I ain't saying nothing.
I think it's for the fans. I think it's for the the diehard Xbox fans, and
it provides more functionality than the PlayStation Portal.
Who asked for that?
It's a cash grab.
Yeah, it's not going to sell well. I actually think I like the color scheme of the Xbox, like the black and green. I think that skin might look cool for the Oculus Quest 3. Like if I was buying a Quest 3, I actually might pick this up. But I have no plans of buying a Quest 3. But if I was, I might do that. It's a limited edition too. That's the other thing that would entice me as well if I was interested in a Quest 3.
But I mean, BRAP, clearly, obviously, it's not for new customers. It's only for people who already have one. Yes. I mean, is it the narrative with the PlayStation 5? It doesn't like it's targeted at the people who already own PlayStation 5s, and therefore it's not going to sell well.
Yeah. See what you did. Yeah. Yeah. So Slobo, I think this is a no for you then.
Anything VR is a no for me. I've already tapped out of VR a while ago. I tried it. It's just not for me. I haven't seen any VR experiences that make me say I gotta have that. I gotta play that. So I'm good.
He's like, I'm good. All right.
I do think that some of the non-gaming applications that I've seen in VR are pretty cool. Like I've seen, I forgot what it's called because I don't have a Oculus anymore. But there was this like VR theater that you can kind of sit in, and you can invite other people in.
That is cool. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and you can just you can connect your Netflix account or Hulu or whatever to it, and then you could be watching your content with all your friends in this VR theater right on like a huge theater screen, but it's really like, you're watching Shogun off of Hulu. And you can just all watch it together. It's some of the coolest stuff. Like that's the kind of stuff. If I had other friends that actually were into VR and were down with doing stuff like that, I would have kept it. Because that was really legit cool.
You sound
really
like a dork.
Hey, I am a dork. I'm the head dork in charge too.
Oh man, that laugh. No, all jokes aside, actually that was a cool feature. Like I don't disagree with you a lot, Slow-Mo. And I used to even watch Netflix on my Oculus Quest, and I would you could like do it where you like sit in a room in front of like a big TV. Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of cool stuff. It just doesn't, as far as gaming goes, I just don't think the gaming side of it is quite there for me yet to make it interesting. So until that happens, I'm good. Until I'll jump in VR when all the VR experiences are like very similar to what you see from Black Mirror. If you ever watch the Black Mirror show, every time they have VR gaming involved, it's some really cool, like impossible kind of stuff. Like you put a little silver stone on your temple and then your eyes go white and you're just transported into this VR world with like it's ridiculous.
That doesn't even sound right, man. Like put a thing on your eye, your eyes go the back of your head. What?
That
sounds like you've been doing too much Colombian Bang Bang.
No, okay, now that was actually in the episode where there was a fighting game. I'm not gonna go into too many details with that because that was pretty wild. But there's another VR episode in Black Mirror where the guy is like, he was testing this experimental VR horror game and didn't realize, he thought he was to kind of ruin it at the end. He tested it. I said tested. That's not a word. He does the test. He puts it on. Nothing happens.
It is a word on some of these streets.
Test, right? No, but he tested out, and then he thinks it's over, but he's really still in the VR game. And it's like basically learning what scares him. So it's just basically he walks out of the testing center like nothing happened. He's going about his day, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And by the end of it, this dude is freaking out because like literally, like he doesn't realize he's still in the VR, and it's crazy. And all kinds of stuff is happening to him. Monsters are jumping at him. He's staying at this this hostel, and like people are disappearing. He doesn't know what's going on. He's hearing all these weird sounds. It's an awesome episode. And then you get to the end and find out that like the VR headset had like fried his brain, and he was stuck in there. All that had happened, like that whole entire hour episode happened in the course of like 10 seconds. It was pretty cool. Black Mirror is awesome. Watch Black Mirror.
What you said before, Slow-Mo, about VR, you were already over VR, you tried it, there weren't the experiences there that you were looking for. It sounds very similar to something that I wrote on Twitter earlier this week titled, "The VR market is a boondoggle and a lie that we continue to be told." Oh, and I forgot the subtitle. And Meta Horizon OS won't make that change.
Slow-Mo, you have to see. I don't know if you know who Glacian Primus is on Twitter. Glacian Primus. He just tagged you in a tweet. Hilarious. You have to see this.
Oh my gosh.
I died.
Primus is always doing some stuff. Okay.
Oh man. Speaking of before we get to Stellar Blade here, have any of you watched the Fallout series on Amazon Prime?
That's funny.
That is funny, yeah.
You said, have I watched what?
The Fallout series on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah. I watched I ran through the whole thing. It was awesome. I haven't finished watching all of it, but I've only watched the first episode. But the first episode was really good, and you know we've seen this with other TV shows. I meant to ask you, Logic. You haven't watched it, Logic. I think we've talked about this before. I don't think you've watched it yet, right?
That's correct. I have not watched it.
Yeah. But yeah, like we've seen this with other shows, other good shows, adaptations of video games that have turned into series or movies or shows, whatever. That there's been a knock-on effect. We saw this with The Last of Us, and we're seeing it with Fallout now. Bethesda had mentioned that Fallout games have gathered 5 million players in one day across the all of the Fallout games, and they even saw a surge of 1 million players in one day on Fallout 76. And I have seen some people on social media talking about, hey, I went back to Fallout 76 because I just watched the TV show and it's great. So I think it's cool when we see stuff like that. We see older games kind of getting either new eyes on them or people returning to those games that they've enjoyed because of a TV show.
I mean, I think that is good, but I also think we need to true that up. Because I actually, I've seen things, including by Christopher Dring, who I normally agree with, but like this in one particular take he had, I didn't, and he mentioned something about, X number of years ago, this wouldn't have been like a really competitive factor, right? But now that like with TV shows and things, you can have a 9-year-old game suddenly like explode and kind of disrupt the marketplace, and that's a concern. I don't necessarily agree with that because in a lot of cases, like when Fallout 76 blew up, that game was on sale on Steam for $7.99. Like, so we shouldn't equate what happens with a game that is popping like $8 of revenue, right, to what happens when and I'm not making this an Xbox versus PlayStation game. I'm just picking this out as an example. What happens when TLU blows up and there's a TLU remaster on the market that's going for $60 or $70 a pop, right? And how many numbers of units that moves that's different, right? So I feel like those different scenarios should be equated. I think that what happened with Fallout, just like it happened when EA out of the blue dropped the Command and Conquer collection on Steam and didn't tell anyone, right? And it just pissed in a bunch of indies Wheaties for a week. I think that Fallout impact is the same. Like it was disruptive to a certain part of the market, but it wasn't disruptive to like $60 and $70 games, right? That were going on. I don't think.
Yeah, it's also all those games are on sale. Look, you guys know I'm not a big Fallout guy, but like even I couldn't pass up the fanatical bundle of Fallout 1, 2, and 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and I think New Vegas, all for like $20. And it's just like, but damn, yeah.
Yeah, I went and bought any that I was missing as well, but like going and buying those didn't keep me from buying like a big major $70 release, right? That would have come out the same week. So I don't. Right, I'm saying I feel like those games were disruptive, but they were only disruptive to a certain section of the market. I agree that it's a problem for indies, but I also feel that that's an industry problem, partially banked on the fact that there are 14,000 games that come out and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And it is somewhat reminiscent of, say, remember with Cyberpunk when Cyberpunk Edge Runners came out? And I think...
Oh, yeah. Edge Runners is another, that had a knock-on effect, yeah.
And we saw the sales of Cyberpunk 2077 like skyrocket like 150% when it happened. And I believe also at the time that it was on sale on the various platforms it was available on, and prior to that, everybody was, and justifiably so, shitting all over Cyberpunk because it deserved it. It had like one of the worst launches ever. But then, unbeknownst to a lot of the gamers, in between Edge Runners launching and the launch of the game, CDPR was working on the game, this unfinished game that even the developers said, hey, we need 2 more years to launch, and their leadership launched it anyway. Well, here they were, Edge Runners coming out, and that 2 years that they needed to get the game ready was closing in on that. And now you have, this kind of like perfect storm of the game is what it's not all the way what people thought it was going to be and what they promised, but it's good enough that it can justify this added interest from a very well done TV show, getting people to then take a look at the game again, trying the game and going, oh man, this is actually really good. Forget the people who try to hit you with the revisionist history and say it was always good. No, it wasn't. Shut up. It wasn't always good. But I kind of see that going on with Fallout 76. Because although I've only played I think like an hour and a half, 2 hours of Fallout 76 years ago, and then I uninstalled it because I was just bored. But like at launch, that was not a good game. But a lot of the people who like Fallout now say Fallout 76 is in a good place, or a much better place than it was before.
It actually is, Slomo. It's a much better place.
Yeah, so now that makes it such a good opportunity to kind of, like if any game is going to capitalize on this Fallout TV show, it's not Fallout New Vegas that you can buy for $7. It's Fallout 76 that is a ongoing live service game that is consistently getting new content being made by Bethesda going into it. And then now if you got people who kind of what it really is that you end the season of Fallout TV show and you want more. You're left wanting more. But there is no second season for you to binge watch. What are you going to do? If you want to enjoy more of this universe in this post-apocalyptic world, you're going to have to get that from a video game. And so that's why people are going back to it. And that's, with Cyberpunk, this is why people went into the Cyberpunk world, because literally like Edge Runners took place like 6 months to a year before the events of the game. And so it's, I mean, so
you built a character off one of the Netrunners. I built
the character that was like basically had all of the signature weapons or cybernetics of all of them. So I had David Gonzalez. David Gonzalez. There we go. David Gonzalez's Sandevistan. I was using the exact one that he had in the TV show because Edge Runners basically took everything, just ripped everything from the game, even with like some of the actual Ripper docs that do the surgeries and the work on people, giving them the cybernetics. You could go to the exact Ripper doc that was in the show in the game. You just go to the same location and everything, but the leader of that crew, his crush shotgun.
Oh, it's David Martinez. It's David Martinez. I'm sorry.
Martinez, my bad. Yeah, his shotgun. There's the other one that was a grown woman, but she looked like a little girl or something like that. I got her shotgun. The other girl's monowire. I was just like, I had one character that had all of that stuff, and I still have that character. It's freaking OP. But it's just kind of how we are seeing big IPs being I would say successfully managed. It's not just a video game when you can take the popularity of that game and really good content from it, and then transform it into a different form of media that can get the attention of people who are kind of like quasi gamers or casual gamers, but they pay far more attention to a TV show or what the current zeitgeist is about that kind of stuff, and then they go, oh well, I own a PlayStation. Why don't I just go ahead and buy this game that's already, discounted because it's a little older, but I'm going to be far more invested in this than I was when it launched when it first came out, because I'm now like really craving more of this whole world. And so when it's good content, see that's the key thing there. It has to be good content, because the Halo TV show has never done that for Halo Infinite.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think there's
Halo Infinite's a good game.
Yeah, I don't.
But the Halo show's not a good TV show.
Well, I disagree with this. With you on the second season. I think the second season was really good for Halo.
The second season reminds me of the CW.
Oh, come on, man. No.
I'm gonna tell you why. This is why it reminds me of the CW. It reminds me of the CW because they created a narrative reason to take the Spartans' armor away to lower their budget.
Wait, when you say the CW, you mean like the Berlantiverse?
Well, what I mean about the CW, a common theme of the CW network when they did their superhero shows is that they were very cheap. And so they would do things like they would add Kid Flash to Legends of Tomorrow and then find creative ways that knock Kid Flash out of fights or have him not be there for a fight. So they didn't have to spend the budget on the special effects of him using his super speed, using the Speed Force in a fight. Or the fact that like it didn't make any sense to have him on the show anyway. He was too OP for them.
That's why the Flash special effects and graphics and CGI looked like ass in the first half of the season because they were saving the budget for later.
Saving the budget for the finale. And so this is what they did in Halo Season 2. You had like 2.5 episodes of them in their armor, and then it's literally 80% of the rest of the season they have no armor, and then at the end it's this big show and pony of like the Spartan 3s and them like really cool looking space battle and Chief in his armor, but you went 80% of the season with looking at this dude's ugly mug. And it's the reason why that is because they had to save the budget. Do you know the Fallout TV show costs more than Halo?
Well, Slomo, I don't disagree. Like looking at the Fallout show budget, like the budget, and that it does look better. But I will say this though, in defense of season 2 for Halo, they made, from a narrative perspective, they made that work, in my opinion. Like there were moments in season 2 where I was like, the writing, the dialogue, the narrative here is actually pretty good. Like it made me forget about Chief not wearing a helmet. Like they
did not make me forget, because I felt like it was maybe because I simply knew why they were doing it. And it's just like I couldn't get that out of my mind. Yeah, I mean, look, I know I don't look. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything, Slobo. I'm just saying, like, I just have a different perspective of it. But I also disagree. Like, if you compare the production values of like The Last of Us and Fallout compared to Halo, you could see the differences. Absolutely, you could absolutely see the differences. And the production values do have that kind of CW. Arcane has been mentioned in the chat. Arcane is amazing, and that really like put a lot of attention on Riot Games, and the content that they do. And so it's it's a formula that works. You take it a popular IP, you put it, you make movies or TV shows on it, make sure they're good. Make sure you're working with a network or a streaming service that has a history of doing this kind of stuff, and they understand the assignment and they know how to nail it. You have an appropriate budget, knock it out the park. You're going to see the residual effects of that reflected in the games that you're doing. You can start doing merchandising and having, you know, like action figures and all kind of, like it's the sky's the limit from there.
Yeah, I mean, look at The Witcher on Netflix. I mean, that was well done, and that had a knock-on effect too, and that was well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Up to a point. Didn't they just cancel The Witcher? I thought I read something that the Witcher series has been canceled. Let me double check.
I don't think so. I know that.
You know what you call them left.
I know that. Yeah, but Miley Cyrus' ex-boyfriend is playing what's his face, Geralt now.
Yeah, but nobody likes him.
Nobody likes him. Come on. Why does that matter if no one likes him?
Well, because he's I mean, like people want
because he's the Army Hammer of Netflix.
Yeah, and he's the Hemsworth brother that no one cares for.
Corey Massey saying it was canceled. Hold on, I wasn't.
Yeah, that's why I thought I read that it was canceled. Yeah,
Netflix canceled. The Witcher's coming to an end. The show announced today on Twitter that Netflix has picked up a 5th season of the fantasy adaptation, which will be okay. So they're still having a 5th season, but that's the last season.
Yeah, but I don't really know that a show like that needed to go beyond 5 seasons.
Yeah, so I don't think that I don't look at that as canceled. That is like this is our final season, and I'm okay with that. I mean, 5 seasons out of that franchise is good for me.
Considering they did some from what Witcher fans and Witcher people say is a terrible like side show thing on Netflix that was like they said terrible, and it messed up the canon, and it wasn't consistent with the lore and all that stuff. I think the reason why Cavill left is being pretty, you know, he's being kind of vindicated on why he had issues where they were taking the story.
Yeah, I think he did. He's a big fan of the franchise. He's actually a gamer.
Yep.
Too. Yeah. There's a video of him building a PC rig, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so season 4 was in production. Season 4 was in production, and then they announced that they're already planning season 5. And then Netflix said after season 5 will be the last season. So we have 2 more seasons of The Witcher.
Will anyone watch it though? Has the season with Diet Hemsworth come out yet?
No, not yet. That's season 4.
Okay, yeah.
You call him Diet Hemsworth?
They made Diet Hemsworth. Look, he's smaller.
He is smaller.
Pause. He's not as cool. And no one cares about the guy. He's Diet Hemsworth. It's like, you know, you hear there's a Hemsworth in this TV show. Really? There's Hemsworth? And then you see it's Liam, and you're like, oh.
Oh, we okay. I was expecting his brother Thor.
right. You know, like, can you imagine what was the movie that the cool one did that was really good? He did 2 movies actually, where he was like he was like this former soldier who gets hired to go into like really hostile situations and extract people. Extraction, was it called Extraction? It may have been called Extraction.
I don't remember. Yeah.
That movie was awesome. You know, like that was some of the fight choreography in that amazing. You know, I see Liam doing that crap.
Yeah, Liam's making his way to Miley Cyrus song still.
Dollar Tree Hemsworth.
That's pretty funny. All right, speaking of Hemsworth and I do want to move on to Stellar Blade, Slow-mo, his name. Well, I don't know if we want to get into that, but so the
Game Logic Thor Series S. That's funny.
that is pretty fun. I just saw that Thor Series S. Oh no! All right, Stellar Blade comes out on Friday, April 26th, and the review embargo went up today. And right now, it is currently sitting. And I thought, just after playing the demo, I was like, I can see this game kind of leveling out low 80s, and it's Metacritic after 110 critic reviews. It's at an 82 right now, and OpenCritic, it is currently at an 84. So the game's mostly getting positive reviews, but there's been some controversy over some of the reviews. I saw some of this back and forth today. As I don't know why this happens every time when a highly anticipated game comes out, but there was I gotta find it now. Go ahead.
Slow on, did Remnant 2 get a DLC this week?
It did,
yeah.
The final DLC, I gotta check it out. I heard the final boss of it is a doozy, which I'm kind of excited about. I can't wait to dig into that. The previous DLC was pretty good.
Yeah, so the reviews have been pretty good for this game, and this is Shift Up's first major release, big release for them. And I'm probably not going to pick this game up now because I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth still. But what's that? Did you finish Rebirth, Slomo?
I did finish it, yeah.
Ooh, okay, we'll have to chat about that once I finish it. I'm on Act 11 now.
I mean, look, I enjoyed the game. I didn't quite care for the ending, but, we can't really talk
don't tell
about
me
that
that,
until you
man.
finish.
Now you just spoiled it.
I didn't spoil it. I didn't tell you that.
I know, but now I'm going to be like, wait, as soon as I get to the end, Slomo doesn't like this. It's gonna taint my experience. I think I'll eventually pick up this guy. I didn't mind that. I actually enjoyed the demo. I'll probably pick this up once I finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But either one of you picking this game up on Friday?
I have decided to I initially decided I wasn't going to play it, and then after seeing some things play out the way they did, I decided to go ahead and get the game. So I'll be playing it. I played the demo.
What things?
I like
what
the
things
combat.
you talking about?
Oh, the whole hard R stuff.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I actually knew about that a couple of weeks earlier. A couple of weeks ago. And so I was really just waiting to see how Shift Up was going to explain that. Because it definitely needed an explanation. And then knowing that they were going to patch it out was
that, by the way, I think the optics of it, I don't know how that slipped. Because just the optics alone of that are that was one of the things I'm like, well, how does Sony let that, or I'll put the blame on Sony here, but how do they let that slip? How does that happen?
Kind of the same.
The optics of that just don't. Yeah,
I think the same way that it happened at the Life is Strange studio.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with them?
I mean, same thing. I mean, the developers were seeing. I hope I have the name of the franchise right. I know that.
It's not Don't Nod. It's the other one that now does Life is Strange, right?
Yeah.
Is it Arab?
I forgot their name.
Arab, whatever it's called.
Rebecca Valentine did the write up over at IGN. But I mean, basically, it was that Deck 9.
Deck 9, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it was that. I mean, I say the same way it happened at Deck 9, but I guess I would also say Deck 9 was an example of I think, and I don't know this. I didn't read this news article top to bottom, so I may be missing a drumbeat in it. But I think Deck 9 is representative of where stuff like that gets caught versus 343i, where something like that gets through, right? Somebody sees something in the code or in test, and in Deck 9's case, says something, versus somebody sees it at 343i and nobody says anything, and it winds up getting out in a release.
Yeah, the Bonobo thing. Yeah, that was it, right, Slomo? The with what's it called? With 343.
Oh, Bonobo?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I particularly, and I chose to. The difference between that and this is that this was caught before, and maybe they were lucky that this was caught before the game officially launched, and whereas Halo Infinite had already launched, and then this is like a update where this came out. But I didn't like the this is not just that like it's called Bonobo, but you named it for an item in the game that was supposed to be for Juneteenth, which just seemed way too much of a coincidence for a American studio to not understand that. And then it was the damage control / lies that they made after the fact. Like I work in tech, and you're telling me you're basically lying to me about how programs work and how if you don't give a program a name, like it's just going to default to this. And like there's people out there who actually have worked on that particular tool and was like, that's not how that works at all. Outside of just the rest of us who work in tech that immediately had the whole Keenan, from SNL, confused look like, what? So it was the seemed to be covering up that really kind of pissed me off. It was like, I'm not playing this game again until leadership is out of here, which they're all gone. So I got no problem playing Halo Infinite now, but it freaking ridiculous. But
so supposedly the way it happened, it went down in Stellar Blade is the hard graphic is something that is repeated throughout the game, and is kind of copy pasted around a bunch of different locations. In one location, it was copied and pasted near another graphic that says R shop. And so if you look at them together, that was singular, that unified graphic, concatenated graphic would say hard R shop. And I guess what they're asserting is that based on the dev team being Korean, when somebody saw that, they didn't jump out at them as something that would offend someone. And I think, I think in a lot of these cases, you just also look at how a team responds to adversity, like I've been talking about for the last few months, and they've already issued a patch that removes that.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's Sony's. Sony, I would imagine Sony's.
They replaced it with crime.
Yeah, that became a thing too.
Which, beside the R, they should have just not put anything there. They should have just had it be an empty wall instead of replace. You didn't have to put another like graffiti there because you put it with crime and you add the R, and now people are like, "Hey, Urban Dictionary says crimer is code for black criminal," and I'm like, God, it's just what. Well, it's just always something, man.
Well,
they're going to replace it this time, and it's going to be Jigaboo next. I don't know.
Well, what's interesting is that like what just for like Logic providing that additional context, like Gene Park had mentioned that too, that that HARDs actually use, and there's other assets that are used repeatedly in the game. There's like a steakhouse or something. I think the R store is actually a store that you go to, and that symbol's located throughout the game as well. But I guess for me, it's I don't know. I'm assuming Sony probably looked at the game. Just the optics of it, like not catching this is just puzzling to me. But assuming that Sony's looking at this,
I'm not surprised that people didn't catch it. It's like a from what I'm seeing, it's a random wall in one of the levels. So I guess I'm not like surprised it wasn't caught, but at the same time, I care less about like, I care about it happening, of course, but I care more about how people handle it and how people are like deal with it when the situation arises. You see something, people find it offensive, and like I'm not. And anytime when I saw it weeks ago and I looked at the wall and it said hard R, and I was like, like that word and that letter are never together except for one reason and in one situation.
Remember Linus
And
Tech
it's
Tips?
Right. Know what? Someone reminded me about that too. The hilarious part.
Remember the look on his
hilarious.
co-host face when he said that? He was like,
his co-host was like, "Oh my god, we're
he's like, did
canceled."
he just say that? He's like, we're done.
Yeah, to give context to the people who are listening to this, Linus from Linus Tech Tips was doing this podcast on a Saturday. His co-host was they were I can't remember what they were talking about, but it has something to do with the N-word, hard R, and that typically is telling people someone used the N-word with ER at the end. Everyone kind of knows this. You think everyone knows this. Linus, I don't know, maybe because he's Canadian. I don't know. No, nothing against Canadians. Y'all weird, but anyway. Linus is like, oh, I used to use that word all the time. And dude's like, wait, what? You used to do what? He's like, yeah, the hard R? Yeah, I used to say that all the time. He's like, no, stop talking.
He's like, do you even know what that means?
And he's like, what? The hard R, and then it's like once he said it again, he was like, "Oh, no, I don't say that. I don't say that word." It was so funny, but because he thought he meant a different word, but it's like regardless, even that word is derogatory. So it's just like when you see it, you're just like, But for me, like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, wasn't happy with it, was disappointed, but I'm like, let me wait and see how this plays out. Because what if this is like a super old build and it's not even in the review copy? What if they already patched it out? What if it's a very well done Photoshop and someone is just trying to, considering all that we heard about the game and people calling it, over sexualized, someone is just trying to issue the game. I'm not going to jump out there until I know for certain I don't have a review copy. So I'm just going, sit on this screenshot and waiting for, embargo to lift to see what happens. And I am satisfied with their response with it, which is, sorry, we're taking it out. I mean, that's what else can you do? The final release of the game is not going to have it in there. And even for the racists that want to have it in there so they can pose with this half-naked woman beside the hard R wall, even that, you're not going to get that because in the day one copy of the game, it's not going to be in there. So it is what it is. The game itself, playing the demo, I think it's pretty decent. Like the story is very close. It's very reminiscent of like Nier Automata, and I think that game's had a pretty good story. So I'm excited for that. And some of the reviews I saw, they did make mention of, like, I like the combat, but a lot of the reviews make mention of the like latency with commands. So, and one in particular, I shout out the person that did it, Kofi from Good Gaming. Kofi did a test where for the input lag issue, where he hit the button to strike, and you see how like she doesn't strike right away. And so because that's very different than what you normally get for this kind of action game, you have to get adjusted to it. But I do like the combat and how they got it set up with like it's even though I kind of suck at parrying, it's very parry heavy, but you got to understand when you see certain colors flash that to know when to parry and when to do the dodge to get out of the way. And like some attacks can't be parried, can't be blocked, period, So it's just, I think the combat's pretty decent. I believe those are the red
attacks. I think those are the red attacks, right?
Yeah, the red attacks is the ones you want to parry. The yellow attacks are the ones that you want to dodge. And it doesn't matter what direction that you dodge.
But what are the ones that you can't block or whatever it is? Like
the yellow ones you can't block.
That's
you have to dodge that.
You have to dodge. That's right. That's right. Okay, that's
And then there's like this,
and there's like a blue
teleport.
One. Yeah, teleport.
Yeah. The blue one, you have to like blink, teleport, dodge towards
I like
the enemy, and it looks really cool. And then the purple one, you gotta do it away from them. So it's just understanding those concepts, in addition to the combat that is very much where you're doing a lot of blocking and then attacking. I do think that it could. I wish combat was a little bit faster. I would say that, because it just kind of seems like I don't know if this is a word, but it's like overly animated. Like she does so much in just very little things. Like when you heal, she's like there's a whole animation for her healing, and it's just like, and then in the middle of a boss fight, I don't care about how like cool you look popping out the little stem to heal yourself. Damn it, heal yourself so I don't die. Like because sometimes you can't cancel certain animations. You're stuck in them. So if I'm doing the heal and the boss is about to overhead chop me with like a freaking axe or something, I'm SOL. So it's like you got kind of strategize on how to do those kind of things. And this is all of this is what we're talking about, and none of it about the fact that she got a skin suit, but she basically walking around butt naked and all these other outfits and everything that people keep putting all over their social media timeline. Like all that stuff is like, if you're there for that, cool, but like there is an actual game here that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Slobo, you have a show tomorrow.
Yep. DPS podcast, Damage Per Second podcast on the DPS channel, and starting off on Gaming Forte's channel. Come check us out, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna probably talk about Stellar Blade, and probably talk about some other stuff that Forte is going to try to surprise me with that I have no idea is going on.
He can't surprise.
We'll see what happens.
You can't surprise.
Oh, he can. I mean, guarantees there's going to be some topic about Destiny in there that no one cares about, right? But outside of that, nah.
Yeah.
He's come through. It'll be a good time.
All right. And then Logic, I don't know if you want to be found. I always leave that option up to you, but if you do, let everyone know they can find you.
On the Enough to Keep Going Weekly Games podcast on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, 8:45 p.m. Sunday nights.
Awesome. And Slow. Yep.
Oh, and I should. Well, I don't know. Never mind. Never mind.
Slow, I do have one more question for you.
I didn't do it.
No, that's not it. Second pick.
Okay.
Of the 2024 NFL Draft.
Oh my God!
Who do the Washington Commanders select?
It better be Jaden Daniels. That's what it better be.
One would hope so, right?
If it's Drake May, I'm gonna be very upset.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna be the case, but
it better not be Drake May. But I'm gonna say Jaden Daniels. And then I also predict that our Commanders will trade up, maybe trade like a second pick in one of the thirds, trade back up into the first round and grab a tackle, because our offensive line stinks.
Yeah, we need to solidify that front four, and if we're gonna get a quarterback, it's a must. But yeah, the NFL Draft tomorrow should be fun. I'll watch the top 5 picks and I'll turn it off, as I typically do, or top 10 picks and I'll turn it off. So, all right, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you for hanging out with us again this evening, and for those of you who are listening this afternoon, when we had Dustin Furman on from Sacred Symbols. Thank you again for hanging out with us again and again. And if you're new, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you learn when we go live. And please give us your thoughts in the comment section below about the topics we discussed this evening. Let us know if you're going to buy Stellar Blade, if it's a yay or nay for you. If you're excited about the Xbox VR headset or I should say the special edition Oculus Quest 3 with the Xbox skin. And let us know what you think about TikTok potentially being banned in the U.S. as well. And the other topics we discussed. But thank you again, everyone. We will be back next week. I may do a BRAP rant this weekend, but give me a follow on Twitter or X, whatever it's called these days, BRAP_podcast. That way you're up to speed with when I go live and, but because YouTube doesn't always send out notifications for when I go live. Thank you, YouTube. But yeah, we will definitely catch you next time. So thank you again, everyone. And we're out.